There is something important happening within you right now, even if nobody else can see it yet. Your awareness is expanding. You are beginning to notice things you ignored before. You are becoming more sensitive to energy, more protective of your peace, more aware of what drains you and what heals you. And that awareness changes everything. Because once you truly see what hurts your soul, you cannot comfortably return to it anymore. That is the difficult part about awakening. Once your eyes open, they do not close again. And maybe lately you have felt emotional for no reason. Maybe memories have been resurfacing unexpectedly. Old wounds, old regrets, old pain you thought you buried years ago. That is not weakness. That is release. Your spirit is trying to clear space inside you. Healing is not always gentle. Sometimes healing arrives through tears you cannot explain, through distance, through endings, through silence, through nights where you feel completely lost before suddenly understanding yourself more clearly than ever before. Please do not rush this process. Do not force yourself to have all the answers right now. You're in the middle of becoming someone new, and becoming takes time. The truth is, your life cannot remain the same after this shift. It was never supposed to. You are being guided toward a different way of living. A softer way, a truer way, one where you no longer abandon yourself just to feel accepted. One where you stop shrinking your soul to fit inside places that were too small for you. One where peace becomes more important than performance. And yes, some people may not understand the changes happening inside you. They may think you're distant, different, too quiet, too emotional, too reflective. But they're only meeting the version of you that no longer wishes to pretend. You're no longer interested in shallow connections or empty distractions. Your soul is craving depth now, realness, meaning. That you have been feeling it for a while now, haven't you? That quiet tension in your chest. That strange feeling that something is changing beneath the surface of your life, even if you cannot fully explain it yet. It is not loud. It is not dramatic, but it is there, in the silence between your thoughts, in the moments where you stare at the ceiling at night and feel disconnected from the version of yourself you used to be. Something is shifting inside you, and deep down, you already know it. Maybe this season of your life has felt confusing. Maybe people around you no longer feel familiar. Conversations that once excited you now leave you feeling empty. Places that once felt safe suddenly feel temporary. Even your routines feel strange, like you are walking through a life that no longer fits the soul you are becoming. And that feeling can be terrifying when you do not understand it. You start asking yourself what is wrong with you, why you cannot feel satisfied anymore, why your heart keeps pulling you somewhere else, even when you cannot see where that somewhere is. But this is not destruction. This is transformation. There are moments in life when your soul quietly outgrows the person you used to be. And when that happens, everything begins to shift. Your desires change. Your energy changes. The things you tolerate begin to feel heavier. The distractions stop working. The noise becomes exhausting. And slowly, without even realizing it, you begin searching for something deeper, something real. You are not losing yourself. You're meeting yourself for the first time. That is why this period feels so emotional. Because part of you is ending. Not in a painful way, in a necessary way. The old version of you cannot follow you into the next chapter of your life. The version of you that settled for less. The version that stayed silent just to keep others comfortable. The version that ignored intuition and betrayed personal truth just to avoid loneliness. There is a reason your spirit has been feeling restless lately. A reason why ordinary things no longer satisfy you the way they once did. You are not imagining this shift. You are not becoming too sensitive or too emotional. Your soul is simply refusing to remain asleep any longer. And when the soul begins to awaken, life starts changing in ways that cannot always be explained with logic. You may have noticed how certain people suddenly disappeared from your life without warning, or how situations you once fought desperately to keep somehow slipped away from your hands. At first, it felt painful, personal, unfair. You questioned yourself endlessly, wondering what you did wrong. But now, somewhere deep inside, you are beginning to understand something important. Not everything you lose is meant to be kept. Some things leave because your spirit can no longer carry them into the life waiting for you. That realization changes everything, because for so long, you believe growth meant adding more to yourself. More success, more approval, more validation, more distractions. But true transformation often happens through subtraction, through release, through letting go of what no longer aligns with who you are becoming. And that process can feel lonely, very lonely. There are moments during spiritual growth where you feel disconnected from almost everyone around you. Not because you think you are better than them, but because your inner world is changing faster than your outer world can understand. You begin craving conversations that touch the soul instead of feeding the ego. You begin protecting your energy more carefully. You become less interested in proving yourself and more interested in understanding yourself. And slowly, your entire perspective begins to shift. You start realizing how much of your life was built around fear. Fear of rejection, fear of abandonment, fear of being misunderstood, fear of not being enough. Those fears quiet. This is why solitude has felt different lately. It no longer feels empty. It feels revealing. In the silence, you're finally hearing your own thoughts clearly. You're finally noticing your own needs, your own dreams, your own exhaustion. And once you become aware of those things, you begin understanding how much of yourself you abandoned while trying to survive. But survival is no longer enough for your soul. You're ready to live. You're ready to feel connected to your own spirit again. Ready to stop carrying versions of yourself that were built only from fear. Ready to release what no longer belongs in your heart. Even if it hurts. Even if it takes time. Because deep down, you already know something beautiful is waiting for you on the other side of this transformation. You can feel it. Even now, in the middle of uncertainty. In the middle of confusion. There's a quiet part of your soul whispering that you are being guided somewhere better. And for the first time in a long time, the old version of you is dissolving. The version built from fear. The version built from self-doubt. The version that kept apologizing for existing. That version cannot survive where your soul is trying to take you. Because where you're going requires authenticity. It requires courage. It requires self-respect. And most importantly, it requires trust. Trust that even when life feels uncertain, something meaningful is still unfolding beneath the surface. Trust that your sensitivity is not a weakness. Trust that your emotional depth is not something to hide. Trust that your soul knows the way, even when your mind is afraid. You are changing now in ways that future you will one day thank you for. One day, you will look back at this period of confusion and realize it was the beginning of your rebirth. The sleepless nights, the emotional exhaustion, the isolation, the questions, the endings, all of it was shaping you into someone stronger, softer, wiser, and more connected to your truth than ever before. And slowly, you will begin noticing the shift. You will laugh more genuinely, breathe more deeply, rest without guilt, speak without fear, love without abandoning yourself. You will stop chasing things that drain you and start choosing things that nourish your spirit instead. And for the first time in your life, peace will no longer feel unfamiliar to you. It will feel like home. So if your heart has been telling you that something big is shifting in your life right now, trust it, because it is. A new chapter is quietly unfolding beneath the surface of your existence. A chapter where you no longer live only to survive. A chapter where your soul finally has room to breathe, heal, and become everything it was always meant to be. And even though you cannot see the full picture yet, your spirit already knows. Something beautiful is coming. Not because life suddenly becomes perfect, but because you are the deeply feeling, deeply human soul underneath it all. And maybe that is why you have been craving solitude more than usual. Not because you want to disappear from the world, but because your spirit is trying to reconnect with itself. Sometimes healing requires distance from noise, distance from pressure, distance from constantly performing for other people. Your soul needs room to breathe again. Please understand this. You are not falling behind in life. You are realigning with yourself. There's a huge difference. The world often pressures people to move faster than their spirit is ready for. Faster healing, faster success, faster answers. But your transformation is unfolding in its own sacred timing. And no amount of rushing will speed up what your soul needs to learn slowly. Some lessons can only be understood through experience, through heartbreak, through silence, through endings, through sitting alone with yourself long enough to finally hear what your inner voice has been trying to say all along. And perhaps that voice has been whispering something very simple lately. You deserve peace too, not temporary escape, not distractions, real peace. The kind of peace that comes when you stop fighting yourself. When you stop chasing people who cannot meet you where you are emotionally. When you stop carrying responsibilities that were never yours to begin with. When you stop forcing yourself to remain in spaces that make your spirit feel heavy. You deserve a life that feels aligned with your soul. And that is exactly what this shift is trying to guide you toward. Even now, beneath all the uncertainty, your spirit is reorganizing your life in ways you cannot fully understand yet. Certain things are being removed because they no longer fit the person you are becoming. Certain truths are being revealed because you're finally ready to face them. And certain dreams are awakening inside you because your heart is beginning to remember